to our Sunday service, Sunday Satsang. And this morning, from Affirmations for Self-Healing by Swami Kriyananda, the affirmation is on contentment. Contentment has been said to be the supreme virtue. Contentment means living to the fullest the good of every passing moment. Above all, it means living behind the present moment, in the eternal now. How much is lost in life by people perennially wishing things other than they were, who complain unceasingly and tell themselves that the world owes them more than it is giving them. We must smile inwardly with God, knowing that life is His dream. Contentment is the surest way of drawing the very best out of every circumstance. Please affirm with me. Through life's mightiest storms, I am contented, for I hold in my heart God's peace. Through life's mightiest storms, I am contented, for I hold in my heart God's peace. Through life's mightiest storms, I am contented, for I hold in my heart God's peace. A little more quietly with deep concentration. Through life's mightiest storms, I am contented, for I hold in my heart God's peace. Through life's mightiest storms, I am contented, for I hold in my heart God's peace. Now in a whisper, through life's mightiest storms, I am contented, for I hold in my heart God's peace. Through life's mightiest storms, I am contented, for I hold in my heart God's peace. Now silently, through life's mightiest storms, I am contented, for I hold in my heart God's peace. Through life's mightiest storms, I am contented, for I hold in my heart God's peace. Please pray silently with me. Lord, as you live eternally at rest in yourself, so let me live also, contented ever, that I may be worthy of living in your joy. Om Shanti Shanti.
Good morning and welcome to Ananda Sangha. This reading is from Raise the One Light weekly commentaries on the Bible in the Bhagavad Gita entitled, Can Man See God? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. There is a saying in chapter 1 of the Gospel of St. John that would seem to respond with a definite no to the question, Can man see God? The saying is, No man hath seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he hath declared him. Many great saints, however, claim to have seen God. If we ask them, Can God be seen? Rather than, Can man see God? The answer is yes. Else those saints lied, and the Scriptures themselves lied. For Jesus also said, Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. The point is, it is not man, this human body, these human eyes that sees God. God can be seen only with spiritual vision, with the eye of the soul. As the Bhagavad Gita puts it in the 11th chapter, Thou canst not see me with mortal eyes. Therefore, I now give thee sight divine. Behold, my supreme power of yoga. With these words, Hari, the exalted Lord of Yoga, revealed himself to Arjuna in his infinite form. Paramahansa Yogananda in Autobiography of a Yogi describes his supernal experience in words more readily comprehensible to modern minds than the poetic phraseology of the Bhagavad Gita. The chapter, An Experience in Cosmic Consciousness, is one of the most inspiringly beautiful in all mystical literature. Here is a brief excerpt. An oceanic joy broke upon calm, endless shores of my soul. The Spirit of God, I realize, is inexhaustible bliss. His body is countless tissues of light. I saw the divine dispersion of rays pour from an eternal source, blazing into galaxies, transfigured with ineffable auras. Again and again, I saw the creative beings condense into constellations, then resolve into sheets of transparent flame by rhythmic reversion. Sextillion worlds passed into the diaphanous luster. Fire became firmament. I cognized the center of the Imperium as a point of intuitive perception in my heart. Illuminating splendor issued from my nucleus to every part of the universal structure. The creative voice of God I heard resounding as Om, the vibration of the cosmic motor. This, so the great master of air, is what God is. And this also, they insist, is what we are in our deepest reality. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. And from Whispers from Eternity by Paramahansa Yogananda, entitled, Make me a lion of thy all-conquering wisdom. I, a lion cub of the Divine Mother, found myself thrown into life among the sheep of human frailties, of fear, failure, and disease. Living long among them, I learned to bleat with weakness, forgetting my lion nature and its roars, which could frighten away all petty, pestering sorrows. O Lion of Realization, thou didst drag me away from those bleating sheep to the mere smooth waters of meditation. There didst thou cry, Gaze! But I held my eyes tightly shut, bleeding with fear. Thy roar of wisdom then reverberated through my body. Thou madest me by hard shaking and spiritual urging open my eyes. And there, lo, in the crystal pool of my inner peace, I saw my features to be even as thine own. Now I know myself as the lion of cosmic power. I will bleat no more with fear, weakness, and suffering, for I roar now with vibrant, almighty power. I bound about through the forest of all experiences, seizing little creatures of vexing worries, timid fears, and wild hyenas of disbelief, devouring them ruthlessly. O Lion of Immortality, roar through me thine all-conquering power of wisdom. Devi Mukherjee, who had the privileged life of being the son-in-law of Devi, of Tulsi Bose, Yogananda's boyhood friend there in Kolkata. He went to visit Swami Narayan at one point, a highly advanced master who Swami Kriyananda met himself. And Devi liked to trek. At least once a year, he would go out in the Himalayas and spend about a month. And he had some amazing experiences. And at one point, he was at Swami Narayan's ashram. And he heard a bunch of roars, really, there outside where he was staying. And so naturally, he was very curious. And he went outside and he was absolutely astonished to see that Narayan was out there with these tigers. And he was petting them, and they were rolling over, and they were getting scratched and cuddled by him. And they had brought him all kinds of little prey as an offering, which is quite extraordinary right there. And so the next day, Devi Mukherjee went to Narayan and said, "Oh my God, I witnessed this spectacle, and I want to go out too and pet the tigers." And Narayan said, No, you have to have 100% love. You have 65%. You need 100%. Obviously, if he went out, then he would have been in big trouble. And of course, those tigers are not vegetarians, and Debbie might have had a shortened life while he was trying to brave and test, did he have 100% love? But wise was he? No. Narayan knew what he was talking of. 65% love. Better stay indoors. I often think about what it is to be a karma yogi, and how many times, again and again and again, really, Swami Kriyananda would say after his talks, when we would say thank you so very much, he would say, God is the doer. And I've been spending more time with that lately because I love the teaching that I stumbled upon some time back, that God is a director playing all parts. And so with that, then really that's a real shake-up for anyone, yogi, yogini, that wants to contemplate that truth. God is a director and playing all parts. So there's nothing that is not God, and that's why we've got to figure it out. Master often didn't say to disciples, this is a shortcoming of yours, and here's a solution. He would say, figure it out. We've got to go inside and figure it out. And so I'm still working on figuring it out naturally. What is it to be a karma yogi? But for me, it's been, somewhat, you might say, of an obsession, because Swami was so strong in that thought that if you want to get out of the ego, if you want to get to the point where we are humble instruments of the divine, we've got to realize and appreciate that God is the doer. We have to put to the side that affirmation. Affirmations have real power, but at one point, what is the reason for affirmation? We affirm I am joy so that we can become that joy. So, of course, it's important. Affirmation, very vital part of this path, but we want to go beyond that. And so I've been thinking, what is it to be a karma yogi? And as I've thought more and more, I've come to a growing understanding that in order to really feel that God is the doer, we have to start, obviously, with the good things. I've made some nice samosas. God is the doer. Because we don't want to get attached to that when people say, oh, the meal was so delicious. Okay, easy enough. God was the doer, and we give the credit to Him. Well, after a while, we can get pretty good at this. A very important habit to form. God is a doer, all of the good things that come. We have a day that is filled with refined thoughts. God is the doer. We give Him credit. We praise God. Thank you for that. We have a day where our heart is open and nothing seems to ruffle us. Maybe we have several challenges that day, perhaps many. Nevertheless, there's no question, we give credit to God. He was the one who kept our heart open. But what I've been thinking as I've been working diligently for decades on this, okay, God is a doer, I think the good things I'm beginning to acknowledge and release my grip from saying, no, I made the samosas, God does wonderful things too, but I would like to have credit for this. I've worked very hard, and you should see all the samosas that didn't turn out. These turned out nice, and I want credit for that. And we have these silly things that rumble about in our minds. Well, that's one thing, to feel, yes, God is the doer in the good things that we do. How about the things that we aren't so proud of? So I was thinking, how can we cross that bridge? It's a really, really hard bridge to cross, where we say to God, we almost tremble that perhaps we'll be attracting some lightning or something. If we say, I was an idiot yesterday, and it was you who were the idiot throughout the day. And you said these unkind things, and you did these foolish things, and so forth. You were the one. And I thought, well, I think I have the solution. And it harkens back to the story that Narayan said, you have only 65% love. So don't go out and visit the tigers. And so for us to get to that point where we can give God credit for everything, there needs to be more love. Because when that love grows and grows and grows, we don't want to spend any time with this ego. We just want to feel that God is flowing through us. Let it be. Let us not compartmentalize. Let's not be thinking that we know better. We don't. At this point, as we're striving to awaken from this dream, we're still babes. We're still working out on so many things that are so elementary. We're making progress, and we should be happy for that. But this daunting task now of getting to this point where we have this 100% love, where there is so much love that we don't have to be thinking in terms of, well, God was a doer in this good deed, but he, I don't know if he was the doer when he did this, ridiculous thing through me. We have to find a way to form the habit where we really feel that he is doing everything through us. And then the joy begins to flow because we're getting it. Figure it out. We're getting it. We're getting to that point where we are enough the jnani, enough in the watchful state, that all we want to be is an instrument for the divine. And really, it's not that difficult when we begin to, bit by bit, it takes some doing, to really crave God as friend, as partner, as lover. And we don't want to be separated for a moment. I love when Radha was asked by Krishna, do you meditate? She says, no, I can't meditate because I can't keep my mind off of you. I thought that was the perfect answer because she was beyond meditation. Meditation is a crutch. It had fallen away. She had merged then with Krishna. And so as we are trying to get through this labyrinth of life, then more and more and more, we have to be very vigilant. And it takes that. Very, very vigilant. Is my heart open? That's a good sign that God is there in our garden, happily chanting Ram Nam. Is the mind right? That's a good sign. We're looking for signs of spiritual progress. Why not stop there? Good enough. And if not, then we have to find a way to say, okay, the Maya is real. It has tremendous power. We would never get out of here if it wasn't for the saints. So I am still in God, but I'm in that shadowy state. But rather than getting dismayed by that, then we can make the mantra, the shadow glorifies the light. The shadow glorifies the light. And I find myself encouraged again and again and again. We have this president. I hope none of you are fans of this president, but if you are, God bless you. You've gotten further along in your consciousness than me. I'm waiting for the election. But nevertheless, these examples, he's a colorful one at the moment, these examples of these different souls that we have trouble with. It doesn't have to be some world figure. It can be the next door neighbor. It can be a relative. It can be anything. But we're still struggling. We're still struggling with these individuals, these experiences. Rather than fall into the pit of air, where we spend way more time in judgment and all of these things, we should again and again take responsibility. God is the doer. He's the one that's unhappy with the neighbor. So let me, in partnership, talk with God and the great ones and say, what's the trouble? Obviously, there's a storm inside. There's a storm inside my heart. What's the trouble? Let's figure it out together. Let's figure it out together. And in that way, more and more, we don't feel isolated, because that's a very easy pit to fall into, where we just feel like, okay, it's true, I've come in, to this world alone, I'm going to be leaving this world alone. But even amongst the billions of people here, there are those times when we feel alone. But we don't need to go there. We need rather to say to God, in a humble and childlike way, I'm lonely. That's all. We might as well face it. I'm lonely. As we become more and more integrated and more balanced in ourselves, we no longer have to be thinking, okay, I'm human, I'm a god, am I a god today or a human? What percentage? Etc. We are gods. There it is in the Bible. Do you think Jesus Christ was saying a falsehood when he said, ye too are gods? When the saints come to this earth, especially these great saints with missions, like Paramahansa Yogananda, the Buddha, the Christ, Krishna, these avatars, when they come as lions. And their task is to, whatever it takes, to grab us by the scruff of the neck, if they can catch us. We remember as Yogananda said to his first disciple, Dr. Lewis, Doctor, I ask you one thing, don't avoid me. And Dr. Lewis said, with humor, but of course he was serious, he said, there were times when it was really difficult. There's the master, run for cover. Now what is he going to be asking me? And so forth. And so the saints come, and as Master said, he came for the racehorses, and that's what we want to be. We don't want to be old nags, not with the blessings that we've been given in this lifetime. We don't want to waste precious time. And so as we contemplate more and more who we are, that's why I love the Hong Sa technique. Right from the beginning, we give that to people. What a blessing. Hong Sa, I am He. We don't need to interpret that any further. I am He. I'm obviously not this body. I'm obviously not this personality. As we go deep, I am the soul. And so this thought of man not being able to see God is absolutely true. Because as human beings identified with that limitation, we are veiled. We don't see true reality. But that is not us. That is only a temporary condition. So even though we find ourselves again and again, we can't help it. We look in the mirror, I look handsome today. I'm glad I got my hair cut yesterday. Now when I go into the office, I'll get some good remarks because I was getting the other kind. You look like a shaggy dog, and so forth. So now I look in the mirror, this is good. And so forth. We can easily fall into the hypnosis, and we do again and again, that we are human beings. It has to be thrust out, and that's where meditation comes in. Every time we meditate, even if it's a poor meditation, there isn't such a thing. There isn't a poor seclusion, there isn't a poor retreat, there isn't a poor meditation. They're all good because we show up sincerely and we ask God, please, help me to go deep, help me to go deeper than ever before. And so, yes, we're in this human body, and yes, we have this personality, and yes, it's quite a challenge. But every single day, we should make the effort, at least once. And that may seem kind of silly. Just once? How about many times? Well, many times if you can. But at least once, know who you are. Know it. Feel it. Experience it. And make that such a deep experience that it vibrates out to color your day. To color perhaps weeks and months, and maybe really at one point to wake you up sufficiently that you don't want any longer to stray, because the life is going by very, very quickly. And so really, it's not that difficult for yogis, because we've gotten to the point in our spiritual evolution, again, that we know who we are and we know where we're going. What's difficult is for those that don't have an inner life. And that's why we should champion the great cause, which is to deepen and deepen and deepen every day our commitment to finding God, so that our brothers and sisters who are suffering, and we can reach them through prayer, and we can reach them through our meditation. That's why we have our healing prayer ministry, and that's something that is extraordinarily effective, because it breaks that thought, my meditation, my realization, my seva, my family, my house, my car, my vacation. Those are all good things, but the thought of the yogi is expansion. Expansion of the heart, expansion of the mind, expansion of our joy, so that we can reach others that are still asleep and will be asleep this entire incarnation. I think it was out of the Gita, but it might have been one of the other wonderful books that we have, where the thought was, in these great cycles of time, the night of Brahma, the day of Brahma, and I always enjoyed that even God needs a nap. He gets tired of this mind. He says, okay, that's it, cut. He's the director. Everything, what an amazing, it's hard to believe. Everything goes back into him, and then, after he's had a nice nap, then out everything goes. But what I read, and it was chilling, that in these great cycles of time, there are people on this earth that even after the day of Brahma, they'll still be wandering around. And these are billions of years. So I think, oh my God, maybe that was us, maybe, and so forth. But I think, okay, that's all right. Don't go there. That's not going to be helpful. Always avoid discouragement at all costs. Don't go there. Think rather, as Master said, at the end of all of these incarnations, and there have been millions, no doubt, we'll say it's been a good show. And it is a happy ending. And time and space is an illusion. And so, as we spend our days working on deepening our awareness and awakening from the stream, go with your strains. It's very, very important. Go with your strains. Are you a morning person? Great. Make that the bulk of your meditation. In the evening, you can say, hi, God, 14 Kriyas. That's what I promised. Good night. If that's as much as we can do at this point, great. Call that good. We do the bulk of our meditation in the morning, and we work on our night meditations over time, perhaps. Go with your strengths. And as you're able to do that, you will see that there is a great beauty. Remember, as Master said, I see you all as lights. If you could only see how beautiful you all are. And so this Leela that we're in, this play, as I was mentioning yesterday at our Kriyabans retreat, Master saying, the Divine Mother has a great sense of humor. And it made me smile in my heart. I might have even smiled outwardly. I just thought, very good. I wasn't wondering if Divine Mother has a sense of humor, because she really does. But at that particular time, you know how it is with reading of the scriptures and so on, I needed that. Divine Mother has a good sense of humor, and it's true of the gurus, and it's true, of course, of God. And we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't have a good sense of humor too. We do. That smile that we have in our hearts is a smile of joy. And that's a smile which is a divine gift given to us by God and the great ones. And so we have been given everything in this lifetime. Nothing is lacking. Absolutely nothing. And so let us spend more time as gods and less time in that human state of limitation. And as we're able to do so, more and more we'll be able to see that God is the doer. God's doing everything. Absolutely everything. And so we could even look at some of these world figures that we're not all that happy with and say, that's okay. This is where they are right now. They're doing as good as they can for where they're at, as we are doing as good as we can, as where we're at. Let it be. As Swamiji said as a concluding note, so sweet. St. Francis was Yogananda's patron saint. And Swami, we have a wonderful center in Assisi, Swami went there one time to the Portugala, which was one of the structures that St. Francis renovated, one of the chapels. And he walked in, and the vibration there was very, very high. And he felt this sweetness. It was a sweetness, perhaps, that he had never felt before, such that he was curious. How is this possible? And the thought came to him, because St. Francis never judged. Thought, wow, file that away, and don't file it too far in the files. Keep that, to the fore of our consciousness, because in that way we can let it be. We can be ourselves. We can let people grow as they are able to grow. We can bless this world more and more as instruments for the divine, which we all are.